Well, I was mowing hay and a pin broke in the mower, and I got off the tractor, put it in park, and I was sitting on an incline, got off, actually crawled under it to get the pin that broke so I could go to the shop and get another one, and I heard it jump out of park, and before I could move, the tractor actually ran over me and ran over my shoulders, the back. I was laying face down, and it was a pretty big tractor. It's a 100 horsepower tractor, so weighed about 12,000 pounds. And when I came to, I was able to sit up, and I had a cell phone in my shirt pocket, and I actually called my wife. I was able to call my son on my cell phone after I'd called my wife and told him I'd been run over, and he called 911 to get the ambulance here. And but I didn't tell him what field I was in or where I was at, so I actually heard the sirens going up my driveway, which was opposite direction that I was. So that time I did call 911, and the lady wanted to know where I was, so I was able to tell her that time what field I was in. That was the opposite direction that they were going.
How long do you think it had been since the accident happened until the dispatchers were able to get there?
They were there within probably 20 minutes.
Okay, so you weren't laying in the field.
As far as I know, the time lapse with me laying there, it was hard to tell. But I was thinking it was probably no more than 30 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes that they were there. If I hadn't been able to call out on the cell phone, probably no one would have looked for me until probably 10 or 11 o'clock at night, and that was about 2 o'clock in the afternoon when the accident happened. So,
now, Bill, what I understand from Jimmy is that this was a field that you normally do not have cell phone service in.
that's right. Yeah. So there were several miracles. I spent 30 days in the hospital. It crushed all my chest bone, broke every rib.
Oh my. How long was your recovery after?
I was probably back on the tractor after about a week after I got home.
How did it?
I get emotional talking about it, but it was it affected my family a lot that time because you just don't prepare for things like that, and so able to be able to call and get out was in itself like a miracle, and to recover with no surgery. They did put a trach tube in. They had to put a tube in to drain my lungs, but that was there was no surgery. And there's still a cavity in my chest bone where that phone was. Some of the ribs have got broken pieces out of them that didn't mend back. But other than that, I recovered 100%.
And how long ago was this?
This was in November 2004.
Okay. And do you have any effects from the accident today?
Not really. I don't. Other than the aches and pains of, the arthritis set up because of some of the broken ribs and all. But it was a miraculous recovery.
Now, did it change the way that you do anything around your farm with equipment?
I try to be more careful about if I have to get off the tractor. I try to be on level land. Try to have a scotch around to put under the wheels when if I have to get under the tractor. And it has a lot of the farmers around. It changed their attitude about how they do things. As far as some of them said they'd never used a cell phone before, but after that accident they went and got cell phones. I try to be more careful about letting people know where I'm at because no one knew where I was at that day. That's one of the big things is being careful and letting people know what field you're in, what you're doing.
Well, what advice would you have to youth or young people who work on farms?
Again, with today's technology, always have some way of communicating with somebody, and again, let people know what you're doing, where you're at, and don't crawl under tractors when they're, uh, especially on an incline. Always have them to where you know they won't roll. Uh, do some safety practices in that category.